Dollar Tree has all the new fall items out at the store waiting for you right now. And one of the new items that I came across were these wood pumpkins. They're a little bit larger than ones that I've seen in previous years, so I wanted to pick them up for a DIY. So for this DIY, I'm gonna be using 4 of the wood pumpkins. I'm gonna start by taking off all of the accessories that are on these wood pumpkins. So I took off the leaves. I also used my scraper tool to take off the thankful sign. Now, as I was doing this, some of the tape was kind of pulling off. That was okay because later on I'm going to have to remove some more of this tape before I start painting. The next thing I wanted to do was create a box with these 4 wood pieces. So I started with 1 on the bottom, and I'm going to be using a combination of E6000 and hot glue. I'll place E6000 on the side of my wood pumpkin and some hot glue, and then I'll place on 2 side pieces. I'll do the same thing with my other piece, adding on E6000 and hot glue and placing it on top. You should have a box at this point once you give it a chance to dry. And I did go ahead and remove some of that excess paper on top before I started to spray paint. Now, one of the things with this box is it is MDF, which means that the spray paint you're gonna be using is going to soak up very quickly. I'm gonna be using the spray paint Sand Dollar, but you're going to have to either do multiple coats or use heavier coats. For this one, I did about 3 coats. So you're gonna spray the entire piece with your Sand Dollar paint. Now, I felt like once that dried that honestly it's kind of had a gritty texture to it, and I thought let's just go with this because it's not giving me like a smooth spray paint finish. So I decided to use one of my stone spray paints, which gives this great texture, and I added the stone spray paint to the outside edge, and I think it looks great, but it also helped with the imperfections that were underneath my wood that I was spray painting over the top. So that's a great tip to try out if you ever have a piece that just doesn't look all that great and you're trying to get a new color on it. Once your container is dry, you can really do anything you want. I found this green leaf at Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna take off the string to it. I'm gonna add it to the front with a little bit of hot glue. Now, this is a great container you can set out for the fall. You can add in real plants, faux plants, whatever you like. For this next DIY, you're gonna need 2 items. One, maybe a little bit harder to find. It's this spider. The other item is a new charger plate that they have. It's this black charger plate. Now, I found it at the front of my store. So we're gonna make a spider tray that's gonna be perfect for the month of October. So there's this bowl on the top of the spider tray, and I'm gonna use my wire cutters to unscrew it and pull that bowl portion off. Next, I'm gonna add E6000 to the top of my spider and place it in the middle of my tray. Now, you wanna let this sit overnight, and if you need to add any more E6000 the next day, you can do that just to reinforce your tray a little bit. This is perfect to sit out with any holiday decor or treats. I have the perfect pumpkin craft for you to do that's gonna make your house smell amazing. You're gonna need 3 ingredients for this. You're going to need a container of cinnamon, some applesauce, and Elmer's glue. Now, I wasn't sure exactly how much I was going to use of each item. So to start this recipe, you're going to need a large bowl for mixing. And I put about 7 ounces of cinnamon into my bowl. Now, depending on how many pumpkins you wanna make, you can adjust this to be more or less. Next, I added in 2 of the little cups of applesauce. And then I put about 2 tablespoons of Elmer's glue in. Now, I mixed this up, and you wanna mix it up until it's a consistency where it's going to stick together. You want all of the ingredients to be incorporated. As I was mixing it up, I decided to add in an additional cup of applesauce for a total of 3 applesauce cups. I felt like that was the best option there, but really just keep adding ingredients till you get that right texture. The The next thing you're gonna do is take a handful of the mixture and you're going to roll it until you create a ball. I like to do this in my hands and then also do it down on my table. Look at the size of your ball. This is going to be the base of your pumpkin. So if it's too small, add a little bit more of the mixture. If you want it even smaller, just take some away. But you wanna create a nice pumpkin shape here. And then I'm going to repeat those steps until I have all of my pumpkins made. Now I wanted to make 2 pumpkins that were the same size and then one that was a little bit larger for a total of 3 pumpkins. So you're going to do this until you have all of your circles made. Next, I'm gonna be using a scraping tool to create the lines in my pumpkin. So I'm going to go one way with my scraping tool all around the sides, and then I'll flip it and go the other way. And then I'll also do diagonal lines for a total of 4 lines across my pumpkins. Repeat this for all of your pumpkins. The next thing you're going to do is smush your pumpkin down a little bit so it flattens out to give it that really nice pumpkin shape. Now, what are we gonna use for stems? One of my favorite things to use is just a basic stick. I will use some of my garden shears to cut little stem pieces off, and I feel like these make the best pumpkin toppers. I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to put these on, but essentially all I did was stick them down into that cinnamon mixture, and once they dry, they'll be stuck in there. I also added a little bit of moss that I had in my craft room around the edge to give it a more whimsical look. Now with these pumpkins, you're gonna have to let them sit and dry for several days, especially if you made a larger one like I did. But once they dry, they smell amazing and they make great decor. There's this really fun trend where you can take any print and make it holiday themed. And at Dollar Tree, they have a ton of canvases, so I wanted to try to recreate that look. And I picked up this print from Dollar Tree that I'll be using. It's this nice forest scene. So what I'm gonna do is get out some acrylic paints in those fall colors, and I'll just put a little bit out on my tray. Next, I'll be using some of my fine detail brushes to add to this print. So I started with the leaves, and I'm just going to be adding in some of those warm fall colors just by dabbing them onto the trees. I wanted to add a few pumpkins, so with one of my fine detail brushes, I'm going to be creating little circles at the bottom in the orange color. I added some stems with the black. I'm also going to be adding some white down to the bottom, and I'll mix the colors when needed. This is such a fun project to do, and you can really customize it to be whatever season you like. Now I wanted to add a frame to this print. I had picked up this frame for $1 at my local thrift store, and I'm gonna spray paint it with this deep green color. I'll spray paint on the back side, flip it over, and spray paint on the front. Now to put this picture into my frame, I'm going to use my wire cutters to pull the canvas off of its base. Next, I'm going to put my frame down, and using a Sharpie, I'm just going to draw around the outside. Now, when I cut this out, I'm gonna cut it in about 1 centimeter in from that line. And then I'll place my picture onto the back. If I need to cut any additional from here, I'll just cut a little bit more off. Next, I'm gonna use hot glue to attach it to the top, stretch it as tight as possible, and hot glue it to the bottom. How great does this look sitting out for fall? Hey guys, I'm Liz and you're watching my second DIY channel where I post daily DIY videos. You may be familiar with my main channel, Liz Fenwick DIY, but I'm glad that you found me over here on my second channel. Make sure that you're subscribed so you just get notified every day when I post our daily DIY video.